يقول ربنا سبحانه وتعالى بعد أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأزلفت الجنة للمتقين غير بعيد هذا ما توعدون لكل أواب حفيظ من خشي الرحمن بالغيب وجاء بقلب منيب صدق الله العظيم. Today I want to start a series, inshallah, by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on the legacy, what we're calling the legacy of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's left behind many legacies, but today we are going to focus on a particular hadith, which is one of the most famous ahadith. It's the advice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to his young little cousin Ibn Abbas. Just briefly reviewing the text, Ibn Abbas narrates, radiyallahu anhuma, that he says, I was following the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to him, Ya ghulam, or Ya ghulayim. There's multiple wordings of this. I am going to give you a combo wording from a couple of different narrations so that we get the full context. One of them is slightly weaker, one which is in Ahmad, and one of them is considered more authentic, which is in Tirmidhi, but I'm going to give you the combo version, inshallah ta'ala. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "O young lad, ya ghulam, ya ghulayim," a very beautiful name, very beautiful title. He says, "Ala u'allimuka kalimat?" Should I not teach you some words? "Yanfa'uka Allahu bihin," that you can benefit, you can gain benefit from Allah through them, through those words. Ibn Abbas, very young, a little child, probably 11 years old, 12 years old, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is teaching him, and he tells him the first piece of advice: احفظ الله يحفظك. Safeguard Allah, and Allah will safeguard you. Then he says, احفظ الله تجده تجاهك. If you safeguard Allah, you will find Him in your direction, meaning in front of you. Wherever you're trying to go, that's where you will find Allah. Or in the different narration, أمامك, in front of you. تعرف إليه في الرخاء. If you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when things are easy, يعرفك في الشدة. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will know you when things are severe. إذا سألت فاسأل الله. If you ask, then ask Allah. Whatever you want to ask only Allah. وإذا استعنت فاستعن بالله. And if you want to seek aid and seek help, then ask Allah. The same word that we say, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. We seek isti'ana from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam continues, and he says, وَعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْأُمَّةَ لَوْ اجْتَمَعَتْ عَلَىٰ أَنْ يَنْفَعُوكَ بِشَيْءٍ لَمْ يَنْفَعُوكَ إِلَّا شَيْءٍ قَدْ كَتَبَهُ اللَّهُ لَكَ. That if the ummah, the whole world, were to gather to benefit you, to give you benefit for anything, they will never ever be able to benefit you until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written that benefit for you. And the opposite, وَلِجْتَمَعُوا عَلَىٰ أَنْ يَضُرُّوكَ بِشَيْءٍ لَمْ يَضُرُّوكَ إِلَّا بِشَيْءٍ قَدْ كَتَبَهُ اللَّهُ عَلَيْكَ. And if they were to harm you, if they seek to harm you, if they conspire to harm you, the whole world gets together to cause you the slightest bit of harm, they will never be able to harm you unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written that harm for you. Then he says the very famous phrase, رُفِعَتِ الْأَقْلَامِ وَجَفَّتِ الصُّحُفِ. The pens have been lifted and the pages are dry, meaning your predestination is locked. It cannot be changed. And then in the other narrations, there's some ziyada where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam ended and said, وَعْلَمْ, and know, أَنَّ فِي الصَّبْرِ على ما تكره خيرا كثيرا. That showing patience over what you dislike, meaning you can't control everything, so what might be happening, you dislike it. But if you show patience during that disliking of whatever is going on, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells Ibn Abbas and through him all of us that you will find much good in it. وَأَنَّ النَّصْرَ مَعَ الصَّبْرِ. And the victory is always accompanied with patience, meaning you show patience and that is how you attain victory. وَأَنَّ الْفَرَجَ مَعَ الْكَرْبِ. And whenever there is atrocities happening, whenever there's huge calamities that are happening, just like the ones that are happening in Palestine and Gaza, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our brothers and sisters and all the Muslimin and all of the innocent people, Muslims or non-Muslims across the globe, that wrong and injustice being done upon. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect them all. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam here is telling us that there is always escape. There's always an end to those calamities and atrocities. وَأَنَّ الْفَرَجِ. There's always an exit. There's always a release after the karb. وَأَنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. And there is always, difficulty is always followed up or accompanied by ease. This hadith is one of the hadith number 19 in the very, very famous collection of Imam al-Nawawi called al-Arba'un al-Nawawiyya, the 40 hadith of Imam Nawawi that we all are familiar with. This hadith is so important that Arba'un al-Nawawi itself is very, very important. It's world famous, written 800, 900 years ago, that book, and that book is taught every single day all across the globe, in addition to the Quran, which contains the 40 most important ahadith according to Imam al-Nawawi. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put so much barakah in that collection of those 40 ahadith that they are being taught in every single school to every single child. Almost all of us have probably heard most of those ahadith. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us internalize the wisdoms after the Quran. Ibn Rajab rahimahullah, he wrote a commentary on Arba'un al-Nawawiyya. It's over there. It's called Al-Jami' al-Ulum al-Hikam, the big thick book over there. It's the commentary on the 40 ahadith. And on top of that, he added 10 of his own. So he has a collection of 50. In his collection, he did a large commentary. He did a commentary on this hadith number 19 out of the 40 of Imam Nawawi. And then he wanted to expand on it even further. He wrote a whole book on this one hadith that I just quoted just a bit ago. احفظ الله يحفظك. Safeguard Allah and Allah will safeguard you. That book, he called it نور الاقتباس في مشكات وصية النبي لابن Abbas. It's basically the enlightenment, you trying to grab a little bit of light from the tremendous light from the niche where the lamp of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it shines bright with the nur of advice and wisdom, and this is a little bit of a snatching of the nur from that wisdom. And Ibn Rajab said that some scholars said that, one of the scholars, he said that I thought about this hadith, and I thought about this hadith, and I thought about this hadith, and it swept me away. And I was about to lose my mind. Then that scholar said, and he did not name him, Fawa asafa, he said, how sad. Fawa asafa min al-jahli bihad al-hadith. That how sad it is that there's so much ignorance behind this hadith. وَقِلَّةِ التَّفَهُّمْ لِمَعْنَاهِ. And then how few people actually understand this hadith. This is a very, very deep hadith. Obviously, justice cannot be done in one single khutbah, and I didn't think I was going to complete it either. And I had prepared some material. Inshallah, let's break it down piece by piece as much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the ability, and inshallah we will continue. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam started this hadith by addressing his young little cousin, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma. He tells him, Ya ghulam, or Ya ghulayyim, O young lad, O young boy. He was very young. Ibn Abbas, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away, he was only 13 years old, scholars say. So when this hadith is being narrated to Ibn Abbas, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is giving him this advice, he was probably 11 or 12 years old. He was a cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Obviously, his father is Abbas radiallahu anh, who is the uncle of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Did you notice how the hadith actually began? I was following behind Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why? He's just 11, 12 years old. What do you think kids that age might be doing? Would they be following the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? No. They would be playing. Why was Ibn Abbas following the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? This itself is a hint of who Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma was. He was super eager to learn. He wanted to spend as much time with the Prophet ﷺ as he could. He spent nights with him. The whole Qiyamul Layl and Tahajjud, and how Rasulullah ﷺ, for example, prayed Tahajjud. He spent a whole night with Rasulullah trying to learn and then trying to teach us how actually Rasulullah ﷺ prayed Tahajjud. After Rasulullah ﷺ passed away, he went around, started to follow the Sahaba, the companions, trying to learn from them, asking them questions, so much so he is one of the major narrators of a hadith, and he became one of the major scholars of Islam of his time, and still today we benefit from him. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made a special dua for him that gave the barakah in Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one time Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to do wudu, and he realized that the wudu, which is the utensil that you actually use to make wudu, that was already prepared. And then he realized it was Ibn Abbas that had prepared that wudu for him. So he made a dua for him, that Allahumma faqihhu fid deen. Oh Allah, give him deep understanding of the deen. Wa'allimhu ta'wil. And oh Allah, teach him the meaning, the wisdoms of the Quran, at-ta'wil. So much so, this dua, obviously it's the dua of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It was accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibn Abbas, people call him, even during this time, Tarjumanul Quran, the explainer of the Quran. No single book of tafsir exists except that it mentions the name of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma under every single ayah. Every single ayah. Sometimes every single word. This is the opinion of Ibn Abbas. He was recognized even after the passing away of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a scholar. He was admitted as a member of the Shura of Umar radiallahu anh. And Umar radiallahu anh, just to show the intellect of Ibn Abbas to others, Umar radiallahu anh asked about Surah Al-Nasr. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفر إنه كان توابا. Then he asked, who can tell me the meaning behind this surah? And they gave some meanings, and Umar radiallahu anh didn't agree. And then he said, Ibn Abbas, what do you think? What do you think this means? And then he explains that this surah is actually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that he is about to approach his passing. He's about to leave this world. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling Rasulullah, فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ. That now it is time for you to do extra salah, extra tasbih, wastaghfir, and to do extra istighfar. This is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam should be focused on toward the end times of his life. And Umar radiallahu anhu then followed his explanation. It's like, yes, I agree with what he said. And then he talked about him, and he says, هذا فتل kahul. This is a young man among older gentlemen, right? Lahu lisanan sa'ul. He has a tongue that is always asking questions. وَقَلْبٌ عَقُولٌ, and he has a heart that understands. Whatever answers he gets, he understands. So this is Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. Now, if he was not eager, we would never possibly be able to get this advice. And I would never be standing over here actually narrating the beautiful, tremendous, deep advice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to myself first and then all of you. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, أَلَا أُعَلِّمُكَ كَلِمَاتٍ, should I not teach you some words that you can gain benefit from Allah for yourself? This first also introduces us to a concept that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam never forced teaching to people. So he asked him a question, أَلَا أُعَلِّمُكَ, should I not teach you some words? And then Ibn Abbas says, Bala, yes, indeed, O Prophet, teach me some words. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is teaching when there is reception for knowledge. When you want to receive knowledge is when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is going to give you knowledge. And there are many, many, many ahadith that start like this, Ala u'allimuk, should I not teach you? And we will, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us an opportunity, we will talk about a couple of them. But then there's an aspect, and Rabiul Awwal is approaching the month of the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I wanted to introduce this aspect. One of the aspects of this hadith, there are many, many aspects. One of the aspects of this hadith that I want to highlight, that's not probably highlighted enough, which is An-Nabi al-Muallim, the Rasul, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was a teacher. He was a teacher. He is constantly teaching. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even in the Quran calls him a teacher. In a couple of ayat, and one of them in Surah Al Imran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done a favor on the believers. What favor? إِذْ بَعَثَ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِّنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ, that he sent a prophet from among them, يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, that he is reciting his ayat upon them and he's cleansing, purifying their evil within them. He's doing tazkiyah upon them. وَيُعَلِّمُهُمْ, and he is teaching them. What is he teaching? Al-Kitab wal-Hikmah. He is teaching them the Quran, the book, the laws, wal-Hikmah, and the wisdom behind them. وَإِن كَانُوا مِن قَبْلُ لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ, and before that they were all in great error and misguidance. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us the Quran. He started in Darul Arqam, targeting what we call the Gen Zs of our time, the young children. And here Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam never considered young children. You know how we treat children as children? When you treat children as children, they are going to act like children. When you treat children as intellectuals, and you expect something out of them, that is exactly how they behave. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did exactly that. He did not treat children like children. He treated them like adults who have understanding. He is teaching Ibn Abbas when he was 11, 12 years old, such deep wisdom. In Darul Arqam, when he started, he just came down from Mount Hira, and he's teaching privately. Who is he targeting? Who are the people that are coming to him that he's teaching the Quran to? Arqam himself radiallahu anh was a young boy, early teens. In Darul Arqam, people are gathering. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is teaching the Juz Amma surah that we recite today. This is what is being taught in Darul Arqam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught the Quran. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught through the Quran the wisdoms inside the Quran that we cannot grasp on our own. He told us how to perfect the wudu. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ in the Quran. Wash your faces. Doesn't say rinse your mouth and rinse your nose. It doesn't say that. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did it. Why? We can only derive benefit from it and wisdoms. He's perfecting. Allah said, wash the face. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is washing his mouth, doing the gargle, and doing the istinthar, right? Rinsing his nose to perfect the washing of the face. So much so he used to cover all of his face. So much so he was not satisfied, washed the ears so that they're considered part of the face. You understand? Just Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says what? فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ. Just wash your faces, and look how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us to wash our face, and how excellent is that washing. How to perfect the salah. صَلُّوا كَمَا رَأَيْتُمُونِي أُصَلِّي. Pray just like you see me pray. For example, shorten the salah. Rasulullah sallallahu in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says you can shorten the salah if you fear that you are going to be hurt. But Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam took the wisdom. If we were to read the ayah right now, what are you going to think? Oh, we can only shorten the salah only when we are being chased, when we are in fear. But no, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us it has a deeper meaning. When you're traveling, because in travel you don't feel safe either, you're in a state of fear, you shorten the salah. Example, he taught us how to live the Quran. Aisha radiallahu anha was asked how was the character, how was Rasulullah, and they were hoping to hear really, private nasty things possibly. That was their interest, or they were really interested in how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam treated the family. And what did Aisha radiallahu anha tell everyone how he was? She said, "Kana khuluquhu al-Quran." His akhlaq was the Quran. Meaning he was a walking, living Quran, teaching the people how to live the Quran, where enemies became defenders of Islam. Enemies of Islam became defenders of Islam. He's building bonds. He is conquering Mecca, and he's telling people, "La tathriba alaykum al-yawm." There is nothing against you today. You will not be harmed today. He made those who destroy into builders. He made those who consume into contributors. He ended racism. He elevated the status of women in Islam that were commodities before. Now they're elevated citizens of the ummah. And he made the selfish people into selfless people who gave their all. When the Muhajirun came to Medina, the Ansar knew of Medina radiallahu anhum that the Muhajirun have nothing except the clothes on their back. Even if they had clothes on their back at that time, no food, no money, no treasures, no credit cards, no Bitcoin, nothing. They had nothing. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even in the Quran, is talking highly about what the Ansar did. That's the community Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam built. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about him in the Quran, in Surah At-Tawbah, toward the end. لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ مَا عَنِتُّمْ. That indeed a prophet, the Rasul, has come from amongst you. Whatever you suffer, whatever we suffer, even the companions with him and his companions after him, us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from among them. He is worried about us. It is very dear to him whatever we go through and suffer. Harisun alaykum bil mu'minin, ra'ufur rahim. He is full of kindness, kind-hearted. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught about himself. The hadith is a slight weakness in it. He said, "Innama bu'ithtu mu'alliman." I have been sent nothing except as a teacher to all of you. Innama bu'ithtu mu'alliman. Just like he said, "Innama bu'ithtu li'utammima makarim al-akhlaq." I have been sent for naught except to elevate the human character, how to have our character and behavior with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the Creator, and how to have a behavior with the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah rabbil alameen.